Following her shaming at the hands of the Theosophical Society, Helena Blavatsky decided that it would be best to leave India. She had considered filing a lawsuit for slander, but other members of the society felt that the tawdry court battle would have had even worse consequences. In fact, the scandal had served to draw more people into the society, although Hodgson, despite his questionable methods and spurious conclusions, may have stumbled on an underlying truth. Blavatsky, by her own admission, faked at least some of the phenomena she produced. But, as she would go on to prove in the last years of her life with her second major work, The Secret Doctrine, she was also a deeply gifted and knowledgeable occultist. In March 1885, she left India, never to return. She boarded a ship bound for Naples, and on the voyage, she worked on her Secret Doctrine, a project much like the earlier Isis Unveiled that would go on to consume the rest of her life. She left in such a hurry that she was missing her glasses. She suffered attacks of rheumatism and decided not to linger in Italy but to continue on to Bavaria. She suffered from chronic kidney pain that made it difficult for her to walk. In Würzburg, the president of Germany's branch of the society, Dr. William Huber Schleiden, visited her. He observed that Blavatsky had not brought many books along with her, and that she wrote as if she were copying from a book in front of her, even though no book was there. She quoted sometimes at length from books she had no direct access to, and for the most part, the quotes turned out to be accurate when her various assistants went to double-check her citations. Her assistant also noticed that the blue pencil marks associated with Kuthumi all over the manuscript were somehow editing her. She received a visit from the Countess Constant Wachtmeister, a theosophist, who by chance decided to spend time with her and ended up being her constant companion until her death. Having relocated to Ostend, she found herself dissatisfied with the quality of the local ink there and began manufacturing and selling her own ink. When a woman came begging at the door, Blavatsky apparently gave the ink factory away, figuring that would be enough to sustain this woman. She gave her a job. The London Lodge of the Society fell into conflict because A.P. Sinnett, known to our listeners as the author of The Occult World about Blavatsky's phenomena in India, wanted the Theosophical Society to be limited to high society, that is to say the upper crust of Britain, whereas many of the younger members wanted to open the society up to the masses. On moving to London in spring 1887, Blavatsky sided with the younger members, and they formed the Blavatsky Lodge, out of which they began to publish the magazine Lucifer. The magazine was banned by the Anglican Church, but it was a fascinating vehicle for theosophical opinions. Despite Blavatsky's deep involvement, it published the novel The Talking Image of that satirized major theosophists, including Blavatsky herself. After arriving in England, she turned over her manuscript for The Secret Doctrine to Bertram Keightley and his wife to edit. They found the manuscript was a mess as far as organization, but full of brilliant content, and set to work putting it into readable shape. The book was published in 2 volumes in November and December 1888. She continued writing and publishing, including The Voice of Silence, a translation of a Tibetan text, and moved into the home of her new acolyte and a future leader of the society, Annie Besant. On April 27, 1891, she came down with influenza. An epidemic had recently struck the area. She had had so many health scares that although her prognosis grew dimmer by the day, her doctors were unwilling to say whether she would live or not. But on May the 8th, she finally passed, remaining, in the words of the nurse attending to her, conscious to the very end. She was 59 years old, but she had left the world a body of work that would go on to reshape the face of occultism, if not Western culture on the whole. She would bring Hindu and Buddhist concepts about the origins of life and the fate of the soul to the Western world. She would help to popularize esoteric theories about Atlantis, a coming new age of spiritual enlightenment, and the power of yogic spiritual practice to a public fast losing touch with organized religion, and provide an important part of the framework for the world of alternative religions that would blossom into full bloom as the New Age movement. My name is Dr. Robert C. Thompson. I'm here with Savannah Verrett.
Hello.
So this is a kind of a throwback. You are maybe listening to this as if it is part of a season we did, our second season on, third, I don't know, one of our early seasons on Blavatsky.
Wasn't it the first?
No, this was a few seasons in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we started with the ladies or something. I don't know. We did do a Blavatsky episode in the first season, yeah. But those episodes, there's some audio issues with them, and there's a few episodes in the Blavatsky series I just wasn't happy with the way they came together. So we're taking a moment here in our new season to go back and revisit them. It's good for you all to listen to Blavatsky's theories again if you haven't heard them in, I don't know, it's been like 5 years, 6 years now.
I haven't heard them since we recorded that episode.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So it's certainly good to go back to, and we'll be using this, of course, to replace those episodes as well. So welcome back to Helena Blavatsky and the Secret Doctrine. We, the members of the Secret Order of Alchemical Actors, do solemnly commit ourselves to a full and honest telling of the history of the occult as far as we know it. The Secret Doctrine cites occult sources and philosophers from across cultures and time periods. Blavatsky cites Plato, Aristotle, Spinoza, Leibniz, the Christian Gnostics, Jewish Kabbalists, Chinese tradition, and Japanese Shinto. She also refers to the most current and influential scientific minds of the day: Darwin, Crookes, Tyndall, Wallace, on and on. Her most authoritative sources are Indian texts, the Vedas, the Puranas, the Upanishads, the Mahabharata. One of Blavatsky's greatest contributions to the study and practice of occultism is the synthesis of Eastern and Western ideas, and her greatest achievement to that end was the Secret Doctrine, composed in the last years of her life. The central ideas of the Secret Doctrine are Indian, but she justifies them by comparing them to Western Gnostic, Kabbalistic, philosophical, and scientific theories. The Secret Doctrine, we should all note, is not just a work of comparative religion. It is an original text, contributing wildly inventive new concepts to the occult world that are not found in Indian or Western belief systems. The source for these new concepts is, according to Blavatsky, the Secret Book of Dzyan, D-Z-Y-A-N, Dzyan. Is that how you pronounce it? Oh, you might be, I don't know. Let's try it all. This is the hidden key to the Hindu Upanishads. To understand this theory, we first have to remember that Buddhism began as a sect of Hinduism. Both Buddhists and Hindus believe in reincarnation, the law of karma, and often share opinions about the meaning of life and the nature of the cosmos. But the Buddha believed that it was possible to achieve enlightenment, which is to say a release from the reincarnating cycle of rebirths for any human in this life. You could do it here and now. It's very different from Hinduism, where you got to keep coming back.
Oh, yeah, you have to make it up through the system or whatever.
Anybody can check out in any lifetime. The Hindus believed in an extensively tiered hierarchy, and that only those at the top of the ladder could hope to be enlightened. In other words,
I was just like, that sucks.
It sucks. Well, because we're white people, not born in India, so we've got to be born at the bottom of the Indian ladder first before we can even go near the Brahmins, and yeah.
I don't like that idea.
Well, the Buddha's for you. He wanted to bypass the hierarchy. Blavatsky believed that he achieved this in part by disseminating secret knowledge that had been jealously guarded by the Brahmin priests at the top of their hierarchy. According to Blavatsky, the Buddha attempted to disseminate the knowledge of the jealous Brahmins, and so they went back to the official Upanishad texts and shortened the originals in order to better conceal these secrets by distorting the meaning to contradict the Buddha's revelations. Her Secret Doctrine is then the master key to the Upanishads, the hidden knowledge stolen by the Brahmins, recorded in the book of, what did you say? Dzyan. I like that. That reveals the true esoteric meaning of not only the Upanishads, but occultism generally, the world over. It's all connected. The Secret Doctrine is over 1,000 pages long, divided into 2 books.
Have you read all of it?
I have-ish. I have looked through all of it, but I have read quite a bit of it.
I imagine it's not like a easy read.
No, I read it, I remember distinctly during the summertime, and I read it on my laptop because I got a digital version, and I just remember my eyes glazing over as I went through page after page.
Can you buy it?
Yeah, you
okay.
can get a copy. You can get a physical copy of it, sure.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. I find it easier when I'm doing notes on a text that size to copy and paste them right out of a PDF.
For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. You can buy it. The books are meant to tell the story of the creation of the universe, the earth, and humanity up to the present day. The first book is devoted to cosmogenesis, the creation of the universe and the earth.
When it says present day, it means when the book was written,
80s. But I mean...
But it doesn't try to be like in the future?
It does kind of,
does
a little bit, yeah. She looks forward to the next iterations of the cycle, yeah.
Okay.
The first book, as I said, Creation of the Universe. The second book turns to the question of anthropogenesis, which is the creation of humanity, and our Did I say cosmogenesis?
Yes, you
okay.
did.
The second book turns to the question of anthropogenesis, the creation of humanity, and our development to the present day. So, let's get started. Part 1, Cosmogenesis. First thing we need to internalize to understand Blavatsky's system is that space and the unconscious, the seemingly empty or contentless states of being, are the true reality. All the stuff that goes to make up our universe and our personalities is an illusion that makes us feel like the universe outside of ourselves is divided into parts and that we ourselves are separate from the universe and from each other. We all come from the same unity and remain a part of that unity. The one, the absolute, the all. We are that is us. Blavatsky calls the return to that state of unity and unconscious absolute itself, non-being, which is real being.
This fills me with absolute horror and dread.
Why?
I don't know. The idea of nothingness, I think, is what's like. I feel like scared thinking about it.
But you are it, and it is you, so you don't need to be afraid of it.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also you, and everything is nothing, and nothing is everything as well. So the nothing is actually everything.
Yeah,
it's all unified.
It's just a hard concept to wrap your mind around.
Yeah, it is.
Especially for me.
Yeah.
I feel like we've talked about this when we talked about
Krishnamurti.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which was
he comes out of this tradition. I mean, Blavatsky, she herself did not, but he was the end of the Theosophical Society essentially.
Yes.
It still exists, but he was like the last big...
She wasn't the one who found him. It was
it was Ledbetter and Besant.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Ledbetter and Besant, but they did it, I think, I mean, it's certainly they were Blavatsky's immediate students, right?
Yes,
so
yeah.
It's theoretically all in this tradition. Our universe and our God is one of infinite universes that expand and contract into undifferentiated space and out of undifferentiated space over and over again. We can imagine existence breathing. It condenses into a single unity and then expands out into the multiverse of beings that we understand as the universe. Then it contracts again and expands again, over and over, with each cycle taking trillions of years. Each of these contractions is an age of Brahma, which is the seventh part of... Oh, can I do this?
I was about to say, can you read this?
Let's see, that's a million, billion, trillion. It's like 311 trillion? I don't know. Quadrillion? Yeah. It's a long time.
311, 040, 000, 000,
or about 4.32 billion years. The expansion, the creation of the universe out of the contracted unity of all beings with a cosmic thought. The cosmic thought brings us into being. Spirit, in the form of the divine thought, of the desire for life, manifests the universe. So it's really like passive and active too. It's the movement between the passive universe sitting in its beingness and then doing something, and we all extend out, and then the doing contracts back into that passive nothing state. So it's that back and forth. The divine thought is the absolute and the eternal manifested as a secondary cause. So the real being of unconscious space has a conscious thought, and this thought is separate from the unconscious absolute unity. This divine thought is the individual God or light of this particular universe emanating from the primordial God. The differentiated universe comes from this God and is also of this God.
I don't normally have a script in front of me when we're doing this, so I think it's really interesting you capitalized thought every time.
Because it is the thought of God.
Okay.
It is the creator thought. You sort of have to think about like our minds, like our subconscious is all kicking around in there. It's there. It's present. Mm-hmm. But a thought has not been pulled out of it. Like each thought we have is extracted from this pool of thought that exists in our heads. That's sort of what Blavatsky's saying about the universe, that the universe has, time and being exist, and God exists as this pool, and out of the pool, the thought of being comes, and then there's this universe.
And we exist until the thought retracts?
And then it repeats. Yep. Yeah.
So do we get into that? What happens when the thought retracts? Is it an apocalypse?
Yes, I mean, it's a kind of apocalypse, but it's not one we have to worry about because we'll be back.
Okay.
No big deal. We all go to sleep every night. We wake up in the morning.
That's okay.
There you are.
So that's the idea, is that like it just goes
to retreat
away?
back into the subconscious, and then, yeah.
It's not like hellfire raining upon us. And
well, the Christian mindset is linear, right? So there's an end and it's it. There's no return.
Yeah.
But this is a cycle.
Okay.
Yeah. Cycles are very calming, I find.
Yeah.
You want to give me my Blavatsky quote?
Sure. And the deity, being absolute, must be omnipresent, hence not an atom, but contains it within itself. The roots, the trunk, and its many branches are three distinct objects, yet they are one tree.
Fohat. F-O hat. Fohat is the force through which the universe does the work of coming into being. Atoms emerge from the eternal mother and are transformed into their material state and distributed throughout the universe.
Not to catch you off this train of thought,
No, that's all right.
but now I'm just thinking about like the universe. So the universe is God.
Yes.
So God is not in the like Christian sense like a guy. Like it's not like it doesn't have a shape as a human.
I think for Blavatsky, the personalization is a distortion of true reality, which is far more abstract and complex.
That makes sense to me in this concept.
Yep. So Fohat is doing God's work. So Blavatsky personalizes Fohat as he. He is the word made flesh, from Christianity, the thought of the creator made manifest in the objective universe. So Fohat takes that immaterial thought and transforms it into something tangible. Like our thoughts, right, don't exist, but Fohat gives them form.
Okay.
He, Fohat, is also the solar energy and electrical energy running through the universe, organizing and driving the universe's various forces and entities. So it transforms thought into being and is that, energy of the universe. The force of nature, all the forces of nature, light, heat, electricity, are conjured by the great intelligence hidden behind the veil and emerge from the occult power of Fohat. When energy seems to run down or burn off, it is actually dropping out of our terrestrial universe and back into the hidden occult universe to rest until the time when it must reemerge. So the occult universe is that passive place. Mm-hmm. An individual human can connect with the current of Fohat, the electrical current of Fohat, to feel his or her union with the absolute. Your turn.
Oh, sorry. You said the word absolute, and I was triggered by Baldur's Gate.
Oh.
the cult that you fight in Baldur's Gate is called the Absolute.
Because they have the absolute answer.
Yeah, well, and also because it's a hive mind, so like they all are one. They are like absolute with.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a little Blavatsky.
Yeah, it's also like we were talking about Stranger Things and mind flayers and stuff. The mind flayers actually like take over people's minds and all answer to this one giant brain. Yeah,
I mean that's not very Blavatsky. We've all got to use our consciousness to meld, right? Intentionally.
Yeah, no, the mind flayers they like put a worm in your head.
Yeah, it's no good. All right, give me some Blavatsky.
Fohat, in his capacity of divine love, the electric power of affinity and sympathy, is shown allegorically as trying to bring the pure spirit, the ray inseparable from the one absolute, into union with the soul, the two constituting in man, the monad, and in the nature the first link between the ever unconditioned and the manifested.
There are two varieties of celestial beings, entities manifested on the hidden occult side of the universe who interact with humans. The planetary spirits build or rebuild the universe after each cycle ends. They are the agents of karma and they protect humankind. The Lepika are the judges on the death side of the life cycle, determining who passes into union with the one absolute. These beings are personalized, but they don't have a sense of ego. They are individualized beings, but they can only act in accord with the laws of the universe. They're essentially extensions of karma and of, Fohat, of the law.
I think the thing that gets me every time with like these super abstract concepts in religion and stuff is like, why are humans so special? Like, why are these
We're
these
not
spirits...
necessarily in Blavatsky's universe. We're
Okay.
just part of an evolutionary chain.
Okay.
Because there are these planetary spirits, and there's creatures below us and creatures above us.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was just thinking, because it's like they say that they protect us. Like, why do we get protection?
I think what's unique about us is that we have a moral sense, as opposed to the animals, right? And an intellectual sense.
Mm-hmm.
But we are not ascended beings yet.
Mm-hmm.
We're in between.
Okay.
It's our in-betweenness that makes us special
Okay.
on the
Okay.
evolutionary chain.
Okay. And like free will and, you know,
all that
like,
good stuff.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Insofar as it exists. So, the creation of humanity is a dual action. There are spirits or angels descending toward the material world, and matter is rising up from the lowest order of being toward the spirit. And as we're saying, we're on that chain. These meet in the middle, and the union of matter and spirit takes place uniquely in us.
Oh, okay. So we are the middle. Okay.
There you go. You're up again.
Oh, God. But
You're going to make some of this up. Elohim,
Elohim,
Petries, Diane Chohans. That's about it. You get those out right away and you're good to go.
Paripasu.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
The occult doctrine teaches that while the monad is cycling on downward into matter, these very Elohim, or Petries, the lower Dihan Chohans, are evolving pari passu with it on a higher and more spiritual plane, descending also relatively into matter on their own plane of consciousness, when, after having reached a certain point, they will meet the incarnating senseless monad, encased in the lowest matter, and blending the two potencies, spirit and matter, the union will produce that terrestrial symbol of the heavenly man in space. Perfect man.
Humanity is the monad descended into matter, rising to the level where it assumes the shape of the angels. But we remain incomplete in two important senses. First, we must continue to strive for nirvana, a union of ourselves with the One, or what Blavatsky calls man's quest to sacrifice himself to himself, in order to redeem all creatures, to resurrect from the many into the one life. Now, what she means by this is we redeem all creatures, because all creatures are on this evolutionary path and must achieve the same union with the One. So we're just elevating our own matter upward. By indulging our inner impulse to seek that union, we are facilitating the divine order of things, which pulls all matter back up into spirit. Significantly, Blavatsky speaks in terms of all creatures. What she really means is all matter. Every atom contains consciousness that is working its way up toward a union with the Absolute.
Nor is the individuality, nor even the essence of the personality, if any be left behind, lost, because reabsorbed. For however limitless, from a human standpoint, the paranirvanic state, it has yet a limit in eternity. Once reached, the same monad will reemerge therefrom as a still higher being, on a far higher plane, to recommence its cycle of perfected activity. The human mind cannot in its present stage of development transcend, scarcely reach this plane of thought. It totters here, on the brink of incomprehensible absoluteness and eternity.
She says this is how an infant might describe life after birth. All the infant knows is the womb. Let's say I send a telepathic message to my unborn baby. What's life, I ask? It's warmth, it's fluid, muffled sound, darkness. What happens when you leave that place? The baby doesn't know.
Mm-hmm.
There is only non-being outside the womb.
Yeah.
But actually, that non-being is what we call living. It's really being. Okay, so when I ask myself what it's like to be unified with the absolute unconsciousness of space, to me that sounds like non-being. You're worried about uniting with the void.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm mistaken. It's a non-being that is real being, just like the baby
Okay.
outside the womb.
That makes it a little less scary when you look at it like that.
Because we're living our own womb right now. We're waiting to be born to something closer to reality. And this gets things a bit confused because life as we know it in the material world is an illusion, but it's more life than life in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
So let's try another example from her. Hydrogen and oxygen together are water. Let's imagine that some hydrogen and oxygen molecules are hanging out. They're destined to become water. If we ask the hydrogen gas molecules what it's like to be combined with the oxygen molecules to become liquid, they'd say that the existence they've known, their identity as both hydrogen and gas, would cease. They would experience non-being. But in fact, they would become visible and tangible to us as water. They become a part of our world. They achieve real being by achieving a greater unity with the other molecules of the universe. Through unity, they become something more.
Okay. I can get behind this.
Feeling better?
Yeah, I am feeling a little better about it.
The second sense is that we humans, on the whole, are part of a 7-stage evolutionary scheme. The whole species is working toward a higher state of awakening, a prototype for what would come to be called, in the 20th century, the New Age. We are currently in the 4th age, in which physical humanity has reached a state of perfection. In the next, the 5th age, we will begin to work towards spiritual perfection and union.
The fiery wind is the incandescent cosmic dust which only follows magnetically, as the iron filings follow the magnet, the directing thought of the creative forces. Yet, this cosmic dust is something more, for every atom in the universe has the potentiality of self-consciousness in it, and is, like the monads of Leibniz, a universe in itself, and for itself. It is an atom and an angel.
Okay, so that's it for cosmogenesis. Let's move on to anthropogenesis, how we got here. Covers the creation of the universe from God's first thought. That's what we just did. Creation. So now let's turn to the second book, Anthropogenesis. Let's put a finer point on the lesson from the first book, though. Each of us is what Blavatsky calls, after Spinoza, a spiritual monad descended from the absolute or God. That monad is passed upward through mineral, vegetable, and animal forms, finally reaching a point when it could unify with an individualized spirit. The humanized monad then has to make its way up through a series of human reincarnations, gradually getting closer and closer to the spiritual and further from the material. This, for us, is a struggle. Blavatsky compares it to the Greek story of Prometheus. Prometheus is the hero who stole fire, a symbol for the light of knowledge from the gods, awakening humankind's intellect. To punish Prometheus, Zeus had him chained up in Hades, where vultures continually peck at his innards, which regrow to be pecked out again and again. That is, until Heracles arrived to rescue him. Zeus, who Blavatsky calls a sensual Olympic tyrant, not a big fan, he represents our lower passions, our animal urges, because he's, all jealous and angry, and he has sex with all kinds of people.
As animals.
Right. He has mortal sex, immortal sex, semi-divine sex. We are Prometheus, seeking a spiritual light, but our lower Zeusian passions chain us down, and we can only be liberated when we overcome our animal passions and eliminate them completely. I guess as Hercules.
Who's the guy who pushes the rock up the...
That's Sisyphus.
Ah.
Yeah.
Got the
different problem. Yeah.
Confused.
Ultimately, the entire species is destined to achieve this liberation, so that's comforting. That
is comforting.
It's happening for us. It'll happen. Give it time. There are 7 root races of humanity, proceeding chronologically across time, and we are in the 5th. Each of those 7 have 7 sub-races, which in turn have 7 family races. By the 7th sub-race of the 7th root race, we will have all moved beyond our commitment to physical existence and be all, or nearly, completely spiritualized.
But does she say what that looks like? So I think that's... Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
I think that's part of that's why it feels like the non-being, because to us, spirits are, if they are real at all, are invisible.
They're in a different dimension.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would say.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
it's not like... So it would be kind of like, so we're like the hydrogen and molecules,
Yes.
but if we combine, then we would still be a being.
In a different dimension.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's talk about the adepts. Guiding us along this path are the adepts, also known as the serpents of wisdom, the kabirim, the manus.
That's interesting. It's serpents.
Yeah, serpents are a good thing in Blavatsky's universe.
Mm-hmm.
These aren't really serpents, by the way, but men responsible for endowing humanity with knowledge. So serpent is a good symbol, is maybe what I should say.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are a lot like Prometheus, inspiring humanity on the quest for enlightenment. Knowledge is both a temptation away from the spiritual and an awakening onto the existence of the spiritual, the awareness of both black and white magic. Blavatsky makes the point many times that the serpent in the Garden of Eden, as Savannah and I were just mentioning, is not Satan tempting, but rather God endowing the earthborn with the knowledge required to begin to liberate themselves from the cycle of rebirths in the material world. Let's remember, right? Adam and Eve would live a static existence of no change, but for the sequence of events.
But so is she just using the Garden of Eden as a metaphor then?
Yeah, for sure. All these are myths to her that reveal the deeper truth.
Got it.
Deeper occult truth about the universe. All cultures except the Christians have reverenced the serpent as a symbol of wisdom. Think of Quetzalcoatl for the Aztecs or the Chinese dragon. Even Jesus of Nazareth used the snake as a symbol for wisdom, warning his disciples in the book of Matthew, "I am sending you out like sheep among wolves. Therefore, be as wise as snakes and as innocent as doves."
So little have the first Christians who despoiled the Jews of their Bible understood the first 4 chapters of Genesis and their esoteric meaning, that they never perceived that not only was no sin intended in this disobedience, but that actually the serpent was the Lord God himself, who, as the Ophis, the Logos, or the bearer of the divine creative wisdom, taught mankind to become creators in their turn.
At the dawn of humanity, these serpents were creator gods who incarnated as the first humans in order to create more humans so that the various monads of the earth could be brought upward out of materiality toward the absolute spirit. In doing so, they committed themselves to serving the monads of the earth through our collective enlightenment at the end of the 7th cycle. Near the end of the 3rd root race, they became divine kings, leading the people directly. During the 4th cataclysm, or floods, they wiped out humanity, which was not a punishment, but rather a natural plan of the cosmos and karmic law. These serpents escaped destruction to carry on their mission. These floods, Blavatsky calls the Great Dragon.
The Great Dragon has respect but for the serpents of wisdom. The serpents whose holes are now under the triangular stones, i.e., the pyramids at the 4 corners of the world.
Let's get to the first race. So there were 7 creators who evolved the 7 primordial atoms. These atoms were projected out of the creator's ethereal bodies. Blavatsky understands us humans as having a tripartite existence. We aren't just minds and bodies or bodies and souls. We have an eternal spirit, which is the spark of the absolute. That's our 3rd part. This is the monad descended to earth. So we have a little bit of God in us, everybody. Okay. Then we have an impermanent astral body. So we have at this core, we can sort of imagine as the core is our little piece of God, little essence of God. And then we have this astral body on top of that, which is an entity between the spiritual and the material. And then, of course, we have our bodies.
Okay.
Our egos or personalities are part of this impermanent self. But our Atman, or divine soul, can lend some of its immortality to the ego to allow it to continue into the next incarnation. So a little bit of our personality might continue from incarnation to incarnation.
Okay.
Finally, we have our physical bodies. The first men weren't initially physical at all, though they were formed from the ethereal parts of the creator angels. These ethereal bodies would help to form the first physical bodies by shaping matter around them. The first race were giants, albeit ethereal giants. So they're giant, like astral beings, like purple clouds. But they set the tone for the races to follow with their giantness. Their descendants made enormous life-size statues in their honor, but those were lost in the Atlantean deluge. Yes, we're going to get to Atlantis. Their descendants, the 2nd root race, were 120 feet high, shrinking down to 60 feet. The 3rd were 20 to 20 feet high, and this, of course, over generations, right? They went from being 120 feet down to 60 feet. The 3rd were 20 to 25 feet high. The 4th were smaller than that, but larger than our 5'8" 5th race. 2nd race.
So that's us.
Yeah, here we are. We've arrived at less than 6 feet tall, or roughly 6 feet tall.
We're the 4th race?
We are, what are we at? 3rd? We are the 4th. Yeah, we're the 4th. Yeah. The first, so let's move on to the 2nd race. So that's it. That's all we can say about the first race, these giant purple clouds. 2nd race. The first root race formed the 2nd, and the 2nd was more material than the astral shadows of the 1st, and so the 1st race was absorbed into the more material 2nd race. So they just sort of like sucked together into one. The purple clouds got absorbed by the body people.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Blavatsky uses the myth of Castor and Pollux to illustrate how this worked and what it meant. Castor and Pollux were the twin sons of Leda by separate fathers, so Savannah and I are going to attempt to do all the characters now in this mythological theater presentation. Break this on down. So, Savannah, you start us off as Leda, and I will be your husband, Tindarius.
Tindarius?
Yes.
Dear husband Tindarius!
Yes, Leda.
I have something I must confess to you.
You have been unfaithful.
No, well, not exactly. This morning I went down to the pond where I bathed naked, and there was a swan watching me. But I didn't think much of it because while I was naked and I was in the pond, he was a completely different species and couldn't possibly have any interest in me. But then he swam up close and looked me deep in the eyes with this sultry sort of gaze and only a big white... But then he swam up close and looked deep into my eyes with this sultry sort of gaze only a big white bird can master, and there I was naked in a pond, so...
What did you do, Lita?
I had sex with the swan.
Oh, I thought you said you hadn't been unfaithful.
It was a freshwater fowl, Tindarius. I hardly think it counts.
It was only a bird. Couldn't pollute the royal line, right? It's not like you can lay an egg.
About that.
Oh no, what now, Lita?
Well, mid-coitus, a few things struck me as a little unusual. First, for a swan, he really knew his way around a human woman's body. This is my first time reading this.
It's a good bit. It's a good bit. Second?
He kept shouting, "Call me Zeus." I didn't know.
Fishy. That's very fishy, Lita.
I didn't know what he meant until after it was over and he left, and I got out of the pond and squatted in the reeds and laid an egg. And I think he meant that he was Zeus.
Lita!
Anyway, I hatched 2 babies. One of them looks like you, but the other one is definitely the swan's. Also, there's 2 girls. The same difference there.
Oh, man. Lita had given birth to Helen and Clytemnestra and Castor and Pollux. Helen would go on to be of Troy, and Clytemnestra would go on to marry Agamemnon and murder him in his bathtub. Castor and Pollux are our main interest today, though, because Pollux was the son of Zeus, an immortal, whereas Castor was the son of Tyndareus, a mortal. This becomes significant when the twins got into some trouble by trying to marry their cousins. All right, now, oh boy, I'm going to do the men and you're going to do the women here. Can you do 2 different women? What do you think?
Sure, but what are their names?
I will be Pollux and Castor, and you will be Hilaria and Phoebe.
Okay.
My brother Castor. Yes, my brother Pollux. Do you think that our cousins Phoebe and Hilaria are most sexy? Most sexy indeed, brother. Let us marry them.
He's getting more southern.
But they are engaged to our other cousins, Idas and Lynceus.
But we would much rather be married to you, Pollux. And you, Pollux.
That doesn't sound right. We'll work it out later. Come, brother, let us carry these fair cousins away and marry and sex them in a place where Idas and Lynceus cannot find us. Castor and... Oh, that's me. Oh. Castor and Pollux brought Hilaria and Phoebe back to their home in Sparta. Home, sweet Sparta.
Come marry us.
Yes, you too.
And sex us.
Ah, right here, ladies.
Ravish us.
Here comes Idas. Stop, dastardly cousins! It is us, your cousins, Idas and Lynceus. Unhand our cousins, for it is us who would sex them.
Jesus Christ.
Die, cousins! And Pollux succeeds in slaying Lynceus, and Pollux says, Lynceus, you can't kill me, I am immortal. But Castor was not so fortunate, and Idas mortally wounded him. And Castor said, Idas, you can kill me, for I am mortally wounded. And in solidarity with his son, Pollux, Zeus struck Idas dead on the spot for killing Castor. Now, says Idas, how is that fair? But Pollux said, Father Zeus, thank you for killing our cousin. He was a real dick. But wait. Don't go yet, because I'm sad. I am very sad. My dear brother Castor is dead. I do not want to go on without him. Please, send me to Hades, to be among the dead, where my brother Castor is, who is dead. I will sacrifice my immortality for him, Father. And I'll let you do Zeus here, Savannah.
No, son. I have a better thought. You shall share it so that one of you...
They're going to share the same body. You shall share...
Oh, you shall share it, so that one of you may live by day and one by night, and I shall put you in the stars as the constellation Gemini, where you shall reside when you are not among the living.
See, that's where Gemini came from.
Oh, okay.
And Pollux says, oh, Castor, and Castor's really happy. He says, I'm back, let's go sex our cousins. But Pollux says, no, I have to go be in the sky for a while. You sex one cousin, and I'll sex the other one when it's my turn. And that's how it all works out.
All right.
Yeah, it's all good. Blavatsky says this myth is if you followed that, Blavatsky says this myth is a reference to the third root race, born of eggs from the second race. So here we go. So we had the gas people. They merged with the body people, who were all giants.
And then they had eggs.
And then the body people laid eggs, yeah. The first half of the root race were mortal, having no divine spark to allow their personalities to survive from one incarnation to the next. The second half of the root race were inspired by the gods, awakening their divine individuality so that they had a self to continue through the cycles of rebirth. We are blends of Castor and Pollux. Castor is the mortal personality who will be separated from his divine brother at death unless Pollux lends him some of his divinity. So that's our soul and our personality. That's Castor and Pollux, you see. They're making a deal. Personality can... So I know we went to all that silliness. Like, why do we go to all that silliness? Because this is really a deep point about how the immortal self works. Just like Pollux said, "Oh, Dad, please, let Castor be with me," they both had to give a little to meet in the middle. This is how personality can survive from incarnation or
And it's also the idea that Pollux,
incarnation.
too, is immortal, so, like, his self will continue on, but Castor is kind of left behind in the next life?
Well, no, I mean, the myth itself shows how the soul pulls up a bit of the personality with it. They make a bargain with God to sort of, like, remain joined, but each of them has to give a little bit. They can't be together,
Got it.
The second race were hermaphroditic. They were produced asexually. They reproduced in 3 stages. The first involved the eggs. The second race then hatched from the eggs. The third involved sweating vital fluid, which then formed an oviform ball, gross, from which the new humans emerged out of sweat balls.
Ew.
Those born from the oviform balls were the third root race, and the first race of humans to be divided into males and females. So we finally arrived at sexual reproduction. Third race. These are the Lemurians, after the continent that they occupied. Lemuria. They built houses out of lava and stone in a Cyclopean style. Oh yeah, by the way, Cyclopses are real.
It's like Cyclopean. What is that?
They have a style.
They're their own thing? They're a different race?
It's a whole other thing, but they're not involved in any of this business. They just hang out on the side.
Huh.
Their continent stretched from the Himalayas all the way to Madagascar and included Australia. Over time, the continent separated to decrease the velocity of the Earth's rotation, which is an interesting idea, that the continent separated and the Earth slowed down.
That is interesting. Like, it became
Balanced
more
out.
balanced.
There were people living a tribal lifestyle and people who Blavatsky contrasted with them as civilized people. The tribal people became the Aborigines of Australia. The so-called civilized people became the Atlanteans and then the Aryans. The civilized were divided into intellectuals and pastoralists. The pastoralists maintained their psychic and spiritual power, which had been innate and easily accessed by early humans. The intellectuals diminished their psychic and spiritual power through focus on the academic and the physical in the building of their cities' arts and sciences. Gradually, the emphasis compelled them into iniquity and sin, except for an elect, who became the sons of will and yoga, or the sons of the fire myths. So you can see how we're moving downward into more earthly things. Then came the cataclysm. Fire, underground earthquakes, a great flood. When the earth changed its face for the third time, the elect sheltered on Shambhala, an island which is now located somewhere in the Gobi Desert, and others scattered, becoming cavemen. These elect who survived the great flood were shepherded by a Manu. The story of this Manu has been passed down in various cultures under various names. The one we're most familiar with, I should say, is Noah. And that brings us to today's brief history. We used to do these things called brief histories.
I forgot about brief history.
So,
do I have to do this?
Yeah, it's up to you. This is a brief history of the Great Flood. Do you want me to do it? You can do it.
I'll do it.
All right.
Most cultures tell a story of a great flood. The Sumerians have the story of... Oh, Christ, I regret this already.
Well, that's all right. I'm allowed to participate. Xisuthros.
Okay. I won't even... Xisuthros?
He is, yes.
The Greeks have...
Deucalion,
and on and on.
All these guys had floods.
In the Noah account, the people of Earth have been bad. So God decides to flood the earth and start over with Noah and his family, who God liked better than everybody else. So Noah built an ark, filled it with animals and his sons' wives, and the great flood came and destroyed everything over 40 days and 40 nights. Then Noah sent out a raven and a dove until the dove brought back an olive branch, showing that there was an earth to return to. And they all left the ark, and Noah made sacrifices to God, and God promised himself never to do that again. A bit later, Noah got drunk on wine and fell asleep naked in his tent when his son told on him. When his son told on him, he cursed his grandson, and that's the story of Noah.
Isn't that a weird ending to
What
that?
happened? Noah got drunk and fell asleep naked in his tent, and so his son told God?
I think so, yeah. His son was like, hey, Noah's been getting drunk and, stuff. And then...
And God cursed Noah's grandson?
That's the story of Noah.
That's so weird. I had no idea that's how that ended.
It's a weird ending. So, then Blavatsky calls Noah and the other flood heroes Manu after the Hindu version of the story. This is still you. There are, according to Buddhist tradition, Manus are great rulers for each kalpa or eon.
Each kalpa is 4.32 billion years, after which the universe is destroyed and starts again. I need help. Shradadeva Manu was a king of
the Dravida kingdom during the Great Flood.
And one day, while washing his hands in a river, he met a carp who asked him to take him along with him. So Manu put him in a jar. The fish grew until he was too big for the jar, so Manu put him in a well. The fish grew until he was too big for the well, so the man put him in a reservoir 16 miles wide. The fish grew until he placed it in a river and then in the ocean.
There you go.
And when the fish was too big for the ocean, he revealed himself as no mere carp, but Vishnu.
Vishnu all along.
I can't imagine it being bigger than the ocean.
It's like ocean size now.
Vishnu is one of the three main gods of the Hindus, who reincarnates many times over the eons of existence in order to preserve creation from destruction. In this case, he warned Manu of an impending flood, which was happening just because floods happen sometimes, not because of any divine anger.
Yeah.
And Manu got in his boat with his family and some plants and animals and weathered the flood, guided by Vishnu in the form of a great horned fish roped to the boat. The boat was perched on top of a mountain, and after that Manu and the 7 sages repopulated the earth.
That's a brief history of the Great Flood.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
The 7 subrace at the end of the Lemurian period were governed by divine dynasties, kings, and rulers who looked like mortal humans but were actually from the higher celestial spheres. These divine kings were the adepts, or Kabiri, the serpents of wisdom, inventors of letters, medicine, architecture, and agriculture. They were both godly and mortal, and having been rescued by the Manu, helped to usher in the next root race, number 4. We're getting there.
Yay, that's us.
With the changing of the Earth's face, a great continent gradually rose up in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. This became Atlantis, and its inhabitants, the fourth root race. Root race is hard to say.
It is, and I called it a foot race earlier.
Yes.
It's like,
it is a
you
kind
need
of
to start
foot
at
race.
the foot race.
We've got feet. We've all got feet. So the Atlanteans were the peak of humanity's physical beauty and strength. During the flood, some early Atlanteans had fled to an area that is now mostly submerged, but contained Easter Island and the statues which give a sense of the size of the fourth race. While the Atlanteans had physical prowess, they were less spiritually endowed than their predecessors. The Lemurians were in close contact with the Dahyanis, or angels, who had brought them into being and were semi-divine and human only in appearance. The Atlanteans were all human and worshipped matter and spirit. You see how we're getting further down?
Mm-hmm.
And they were pantheists. In other words, they worshipped everything and didn't differentiate between spirit and matter.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, old school paganism, kind of.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, nature worship.
Just saying worshipped everything made me sound like I'm looking around the room like these water jugs over here.
I mean, kind of.
My water bottle.
Yeah, the divine is everywhere. The Lemurians had enjoyed the psychic and spiritual power of the third eye, or Deva eye, but with the dawn of the Atlanteans, the third eye, which had been a physiological part of the Lemurians, transformed into the far less powerful pineal gland.
Wait, so were Lemurians the Cyclops?
Well, they had 3 eyes, not just one.
Oh, I'm thinking. Okay, I'm getting confused with the monsters.
They're not. They're us. They're not
Yes.
monsters. They were our ancestors.
Oh, sorry. Well, I was thinking of Cyclops.
Yeah, no, different guys. So the Lemurians geographically had gravitated toward the North Pole, the pole of the spirit, and the Atlanteans gravitated toward the South Pole, or the pole of the elementals and matter. The Atlanteans took unto themselves wives who were entirely human and fair to look at, but in whom lower, more material, those sidereal beings had incarnated. These were essentially elementals in human form. Lilith, from the Jewish tradition, was the prototype for these beings. Lilith was a product of Jewish folklore by way of Babylon, and an effort to reconcile conflict in the original Genesis text, which we go into in other episodes. So we're just going to move on from that. So they merge essentially with these animalistic and attractive female partners, the Atlanteans, who Lilith is a sort of like prototype for, or a reflection of in Midrash. These women could walk on the air and were kind of like human mortals, but they were driven by animal instinct rather than intellect. They're a little bit magical too. The story of the end of the Atlanteans is probably my favorite part of the whole Secret Doctrine. The Earth is on the verge of another major cataclysm, a shifting of continents, and great deluge that will sink the continent of Atlantis under the waves. The story starts with one of the adept kings or sons of wisdom who we've been calling the serpents. He knows that the flood is coming, and it just so happens that this particular ruler has got a fleet of airships called Vaiwan, presumably in anticipation of the Great Flood, although I'm sure they were great for a Sunday ride through the sky as well, because you have an airship. That's pretty cool.
Oh.
So this serpent of wisdom sends his airships to collect his brothers and their righteous followers called the Yellow Faces of the Straight Eye, meaning that they were sincere. He implored his sincere brothers to use their white magic to counteract the dark magic of the Lords of the Dark Face, who didn't have actual dark faces, but were rather sorcerers practicing black magic. That's an important distinction.
Mm-hmm.
The great adept king knew that these dark sorcerers had to be wiped out by the flood in order for life to advance in the next round and root race on the earth. He also knew that they were conspiring to escape their fate. So his brothers, the divine kings, used their white magic to mesmerize the Lords of the Dark Faces, preventing them from intervening, while they stole the sorcerers' airships. It's exciting. When the sorcerers woke up, the airships were gone, and the flood was upon them, and they drowned. But there were some among the dark sorcerers who had a magic that overpowered the white magic of the Sons of Wisdom. Not only did they not sleep, but they were so gigantic that their heads and chests were above the waterline of the flood.
What? So they were giants too?
Yes, giant evil dark sorcerers now are chasing down these airships because their brothers drowned.
Well, how would they fit in the airship if they were that big?
I guess they had big airships. So they pursued the Sons of Wisdom and their human charges for 3 lunar terms until finally they were reached by the rising waves and perished to the last, the soil sinking under their feet and the earth engulfing those who had desecrated her. Such is the working of karma. Actually, our race. There's a bit of confusion between the 4th and the 5th race, but we, insofar as the Atlanteans are the 4th race, we are their children.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, now we've made it to us.
More closer to us, yeah. This is as close, yes. So the 4th may, have, the 4th are like us. They're human like us, but we are not the Atlanteans.
Except for the evil ones. The evil ones are giant.
Those are gone. So, Blavatsky is not thrilled with us, our race, the 5th race.
I feel scolded.
She says, we have not kept pace with our spiritual destiny, but this will eventually work itself out. The Bible curses the serpent after the fall of Adam and Eve, so that the seed of the woman will bruise the head of the serpent. Remember, the serpent is a symbol for wisdom and knowledge. So, an overemphasis on sex and animal gratification has, since the 4th root race, degraded us spiritually. Remember, Blavatsky was like celibate throughout her life.
Oh.
A little bit of Blavatsky here.
From the healthy king of animal creation of the 3rd race, man became in the 5th, our race, a helpless, scrofulous being, and has now become the wealthiest heir on the globe to constitutional and hereditary diseases, the most consciously and intelligently bestial of all animals.
See, she's not a big fan, so calls...
that's a scathing review.
Of us.
Yeah.
She calls the 5th root race the Aryans. The term Aryans generally refers to the tribal people who conquered the Indian subcontinent in Persia around 2000 BC. Blavatsky does not mean this group... she doesn't mean, in other words, that those Indian people are the Aryans, because the Aryans are all of us. So she also is not implying anything fascist or Nazi. That's a misconception and a misreading of Blavatsky. So let's get to the 6th race as we're winding up here, and the question of whether Blavatsky is racist, because she is accused of being an inspiration for fascist Nazi Germany.
Oh.
And she is not a fan of the Australian Aboriginal people, who she believes are derived from the less enlightened members of the 4th root race. The Lilith women, the notion that there are Lilith women suggests a program against miscegenation. In other words,
miscegenation? I've never heard that.
Like a mixing of races.
Oh.
Insofar as there were these Lilith women that walked on air and were more animalistic, and the Atlanteans had sex with them.
Okay.
It feels like but really, like the Lilith women walked on air. Like they're not. There's an interspecies thing going on here. But again, this suggests to people that Blavatsky's got proto-Nazi theories. It's true that Blavatsky was a source of inspiration for the Nazis. I will not deny that. She brought them the swastika, for example, which was originally an Indian religious symbol. She also brought them the concept of the root races. Her theory that racial impurity among the Atlanteans led to the diminishment of their spiritual and psychic power was useful. Mm-hmm. But Blavatsky was not actually especially racist herself. I mean, you can take anything, right, and use it to your purposes. If you read her in full, though, she rejected the theory that skull size or even brain size correlated to intelligence, which was used to justify American slavery, and believed that all of the Earth's various races were reincarnating their way toward enlightenment. The Aryans of the fifth root race were of many races, and the sixth root race, our next evolution, would take place, she said, in America because of our habit of mixing the races.
Oh, that's interesting.
This mixing has made America a race sui generis. We're creating our own new race, and the primary race destined to become the sixth subrace of the fifth root race, which will lay the groundwork for the sixth root race. Significantly, she was no conformist. She believed that it was society's oddballs, of which she was arguably one of the oddest, were early iterations of its next evolutions, the kind of genetic homogenization premised on an idyllic view of some imagined past and promoted by the fascists. This would have been anathema to her way of thinking. The weirdos among us, with physical, mental, and spiritual characteristics that the masses do not privilege, will usher in this new era. I'm going to steal this quote from you, Savannah.
I do have a question real fast,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
So, like, did the Nazis, like, flat out, like, cite Helena Blavatsky?
Yes, some did. I mean, they were super occulty, some of these guys.
I do remember talking about that.
We got an episode on that, friends, to look up.
They cite, like, the Secret Doctrine and stuff?
Certainly it was an inspiration to some of these guys.
Yeah. That's interesting. But then it also is interesting, too, that she's so, like, I like the melting pot, and that's specifically against what
future.
the Nazis are about. So
Future is the melting pot. All right, so I'm stealing this quote. This is usually Savannah's been doing our quotes, of course, as you've heard, but I'm going to steal this one because I like it a lot. She says, "All we know is that the sixth root race will silently come into existence, so silently indeed, that for long millenniums shall its pioneers, the peculiar children, who will grow into peculiar men and women, be regarded as anomalous lusus naturae, abnormal oddities physically and mentally. Then as they increase, and their numbers become, with every age greater, one day they will awake to find themselves in a majority. But the last remnants of the fifth continent will not disappear until some time after the birth of the new race, when another and new dwelling, the sixth continent, will have appeared above the new waters on the face of the globe so as to receive the new stranger." Yeah, like Hitler's gas chambers were all about getting rid of weirdos.
yeah.
I mean, everybody. Jews and gays and Marxists and so many different groups.
I mean, everyone who didn't belong in his view.
Right. But she's explicitly saying,
The weirdos are the ones.
genetically, physically, yes, these are the ones we must hold up. Now we come to the part of episode when I try to make sense of all of this with a fairly simple question. Is this all or mostly just a bunch of nonsense? Giants, people birthed from eggs, Atlantis sunk into the sea, airships, cyclopses, Savannah's very interested in. How are we supposed to believe any of this, given the state of science and understanding today? First of all, Blavatsky is not so unscientific as she seems. Her concept of continental drift bears out, in broad outline at least. The Earth has seen a series of supercontinents leading up to our present phase. Also, she accepts Darwin's theory of evolution. You want to do this one, Savannah?
Mr. Darwin's evolution is perfectly scientific, and we have nothing against that. For all this relates to the shell of the man. His body, which in its growth is subject, of course, like every other, at once called morphological unit, to such metamorphosis.
But Darwin only gets half the picture. He's describing what's happening on the physical side. The secondary or back end of the story is really what he's got. He's got the effect. The missing role of spiritual revolution is on the front end. That's the cause. All matter is tending toward a reunification with the absolute, the spirit source of all that is all. We humans were ape-like in the last root race. The apes in our root race will be human in the next root race. That'll be something to look forward to. This is the working of karma and the evolution of the spiritual monad, and overrides the dictates of natural selection, which is limited to adaptations in the environment. Whether or not the environment necessitates that apes become more intelligent and human-like, they will. This is not Darwinian. It has much to do with Wallace, and you should see our episode on Wallace called Evolution's Ghost. This is in Series 3. It's also far more reasonable than Blavatsky seems to be on the surface. So, let's talk about the giants. Blavatsky resists being read as an allegory, but it takes so much allegory and metaphor to understand her that ultimately her meaning is more allegorical than literal. The Lemurians were giant spirits, closer in being and in action to the spiritual. Think of our pagan ancestors, for whom God was indwelling in the whole natural world around them. there were spirits in the mountains, rivers, and fields. And this is across cultures. In the Americas, among the Celts, the Greeks, the Romans, Africans, Chinese, Japanese, all have nature spirits. We used to be spiritual giants in this way. The Atlanteans are physical giants. That's a hard swing away from the spiritual into the material. The move to the one God and then the Protestant God forces the spiritual further and further away and refocuses our efforts, if not on sex, as Blavatsky worries about, then on material gain. The Protestant work ethic. Yeah?
Wait, I'm lost. I got lost.
So we are moving more and more material. Blavatsky's worried about sex, but I'm suggesting that the Protestant work ethic itself is about the material world. Just keep working. Be productive. Mm-hmm. So Protestantism is moving us in that direction.
It actively tells you not to worry about your own mental well-being and is like the work is more important than you.
Yes, economic gain. And now we are smaller versions of each, attempting to balance the spiritual and the material, the Atlantean and the Lemurian. I'm playing with Blavatsky's timeline here. All of the events I'm discussing take place in our fifth root race. So in other words, she would have said all of these are in the fifth root race, but they are a microcosm of what Blavatsky describes over millions of years.
Oh.
You see? We could also read literally that there were gigantic mammals millions of years ago, and no humans. These gigantic mammals over time evolved into us. The primate Gigantopithecus, existing as long as 9 million years ago, was 10 feet tall and weighed over 1,000 pounds. Maybe one of the early root races was, in fact, Gigantopithecus, or some other egg-laying species that has since evolved into us. Could be. Or it could be the reverse. That Blavatsky has tapped into some great drama happening at the microscopic level. The sweat-born suddenly sound more like they're produced through an asexual splitting of a cell wall, for example.
Oh.
As for Atlantis with its airships, we need think no further than its masters, the serpents of wisdom. We don't need to believe in airships to believe that ancient cultures possessed a wisdom that we often lack and must work our way back around to. Healing practices that treated the whole person, the calendar of the Mayans, the chronologies of the Brahmins, the sustainable agriculture of America's native people, the complex mythologies of the pagan world, that plumb the depths of the human psyche in ways we have only just begun to explore, and that Blavatsky makes a central theme of her Secret Doctrine. Ancient cultures have things to teach us. I like to remind my students that when humans lived in tribes, we worked on average 5 hours a day. Americans today work more than 50 hours a week.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that either.
Progress means holding on to the wisdom of the past. This is what we fail to do. Atlantis is a complex allegory for the wisdom that is lost unless it is rediscovered among the serpents of wisdom hiding beneath their pyramids in the four corners of the world. So, my point is, Blavatsky is not so crazy. And in fact, she's providing creative and instructive cross-cultural readings of myths, beliefs, and occult formulae that blend Eastern and Western concepts in a way that the world had never seen before. The Secret Doctrine is a wildly creative, intellectually complex, and culturally broad exploration of what it means for a human being to be made up of both matter and spirit. Savannah?
I feel like I don't remember if I was on the Helena Blavatsky episodes when we first recorded this, but like this
Probably
makes a lot more. This makes a lot more sense to me now. I am a lot older now and a lot more open-minded religiously, I think.
And you've done many Occult Confessions episodes.
I have. I mean, that's the reason I'm a lot more open religiously. I still think it's interesting because like these concepts are so interesting about the idea of the soul and stuff like that. And I really enjoy these conversations because we get to talk not around because these allegories are important, but like because like she's saying that like it's literal, right? So that would mean that people who aren't willing to have this discussion are instantly like, well, then she's crazy.
Right.
So it is nice to be able to have this conversation because it does lead to deeper thought and things. I really like that. And I think a lot of this is really, really interesting, but it also does make me worried in the sense that it's like a lot of people would just hear this and you be like, you believe that? You're crazy.
Yeah. Because they don't want to see the depth of it.
Yeah.
And that's easy to do. I think we can all be literalists when we want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more complex and open mind takes this stuff and says, well, what is going on in here? Because it's cool and it's interesting and it's weird. So to toss it out because there's a Cyclops in it is to miss the deeper things that are going on. Yeah.
I also wanted to ask about her, like, celibacy.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Well,
she's like super against having sex at all.
she was married, but I believe, if you parse her biography, she probably never had sex with Mr. Blavatsky. And she,
What?
she was married very briefly at the beginning of her life, and she
Oh.
sort of like ran away from him to keep from having to consummate the relationship.
Oh.
And then had a very famous platonic relationship with Henry Steele Olcott.
Yes.
So I think she was averse to sex throughout her life
Interesting.
for, reasons that remain unknown, but who knows? Yeah, that was true.
Because I just think it's interesting in this day and age, like we're all starting to become more comfortable with sex and stuff. So it's like, it doesn't necessarily feel like a bad thing to me. So to have her be so like, you're so worried about it.
I consider it a kind of quirk of theosophy, that this was a concern of hers, and a quirk of her individual personality. I mean, it's so much a part of her biography that it's, the Atlanteans and stuff are not a part of her biography, right? But
Yeah.
this very personal thing that recurs in her work, I think, is just like her thinking through her own, or working with whatever the demons are, I think, related to that.
Oh, and another thought I had real fast is I just thought it was interesting because you were talking about it in the very intro, and I stopped myself from saying anything. It's interesting that it feels like occultists, like really important occultists, are always really sick.
Yes.
Like
It's not unusual. Krishnamurti, we don't know what was wrong with him, but he lived a long time.
Yeah.
Blavatsky did not live a long time.
Oh, really?
She died at 59, yeah. So,
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I feel like whenever we talk about this kind of stuff, it feels like the occultist is like racked with pain and like mysterious things happening to them, and it just made me think of that. And it especially made me think of Krishnamurti out in his backyard under the tree or whatever, right?
He was healthy in relation to Blavatsky. She was in bad health, for almost her whole life.
I just thought that was an interesting thing. That was something I noticed.
I think it is an interesting correlation. I think it keeps their mind on spiritual things. I hereby adjourn and declare closed this meeting of the Secret Order of Alchemical Actors until such a time as we get together and do it again. Yes, this was a rewind, and you're enjoying it here in 2026, or you're enjoying it as if it was recorded in 2018. And that's all good.
Yes, trust
Either
me,
way.
it was not good. I mean, well, I'm sure the writing
It's an
is fine.
improvement.
It's the same script,
yeah.
but
Yeah, we've improved everything about our
Yes.
production process. Here at Occult Confessions.